Good Basel YouTube, 6fthax here. Have for you guys today the second match of the best of 7 little mini series I'm doing with my boy Harrisisawesome. Of course, if you guys may have missed the first battle, a link to that should be on the top right hand corner or in the description down below. That was a really good match that gave us our first victory in this series. So we did owe you our first game, so we're gonna do UU the second game. If you do enjoy the video, make sure to hammer that like button down below, guys. Thank you all for the great support. Now let's take a look at the team preview. So going into this matchup, that Keldeo, depending on if it's Specs, Scarfed, or potentially Life Orb, could prove to be a huge problem if I lose my Primarina. However though, my Primarina is a humongous threat to Harris's team because I am Choice Specs. Unfortunately, I don't have Hydro Pump on this set. The strongest water stab I have is Skull, which is still pretty good because I can burn his only real potential switch in, which is Latios. Or I guess Keldeo too, so I can also maybe burn Keldeo, but Primarina going into this match was a humongous threat. So at the same time, I had to keep it safe because of Keldeo being a humongous threat to my team. Raikou, depending on what set it is, will determine on how I can deal with it. Latios most likely is going to be offensive Life Orb with Defog, or potentially Soul Dew with Defog, so I'm not too concerned about that. Scizor, if it gets too late game and my Cobalion is weakened, then SD Scizor could potentially sweep me, so I have to watch out for that. Also, I don't really have a good or safe switch in to Earthquake coming from Krookodile, so that's going to be another huge problem going into this match. And then Chandelure, I have two potential Pursuit Trappers in Krookodile and Mega Aerodactyl, so I can kind of keep that in check, so I'm not really too concerned about it. But that was kind of what I was thinking about going into this match. So looking at his leads, I thought that he may want to lead off with the Krookodile, so I decided to lead off with my Krookodile because I actually have Taunt on my Krookodile. However, though, Harris does think a step ahead, expects me to lead with Krookodile, and he's going to lead off with Keldeo. Now, of course, this is a very bad lead matchup for me, so I am going to be forced to switch on out of here into the only real switching I have to this Keldeo, which, of course, is my Primarina. So he does end up going for the safe Skull there. Luckily, does not burn me. And now Harris has to guess whether I'm going to go for the Moonblast or go for my Water Stab move. And ultimately, I go for the Skull because I knew that I could burn the incoming Latios or still get off a huge amount of damage on whatever else he switched in. As I nuke this Scizor, he does barely live. And if I had Hydro Pump, I would have definitely knocked him out and avoided this bullet punch damage. Unfortunately though, I don't want to allow him to roost or just U-turn for free, so I stay in, go for another Scald as he does get off a good amount of damage. As I knock him out, he's going to end up bringing in his Raikou. Now normally Raikou are Choice Scarfed, Spexed, or sometimes Expert Belted or Zap Plate. However though, there has been an increase of sub Calm Mind Raikou, so thinking that he could maybe be that set, I didn't want to switch directly into my Krookodile, so I make the middle ground play of switching into my Klefki because I was pretty positive Harris would expect my Krookodile switching, and now I can just stay in here with Klefki, go for Lair Spike, scout it to see what Raikou set this is, as it does turn out to be sub Calm Mind. Now this one Lair Spikes is very handy because it means I'll get off residual damage on his entire team except for Latios, which is his way of getting rid of my spikes, which means he's got to waste a turn going for defog, which I can easily take advantage of. As he goes for the sub, he is then going to go for the Calm Mind. This is fine. My Play Rough will definitely be able to break this Raikou substitute, and eventually I should be able to prevent this Raikou from ending up behind a substitute against my Klefki. That way I can then potentially just revenge kill it with my Mega Aerodactyl or my Scarfed Gengar. So he's going to go for the Thunderbolt. I am very Spadef bulky, so I know I can live one and go for another Play Rough, except for the fact that he gets the 10% paralysis and then the 25% chance to get fully paralyzed. And that actually really sucks because now he can easily stay in here and try to substitute and hope that I either miss or that I get fully paralyzed. So that's exactly what he's going to do, and you can't really blame him for doing this. This was definitely the best play he could have made here, was to try and end up behind a substitute, because Raikou behind a sub can get rid of my Klefki and then get rid of both my Mega Aerodactyl and my Gengar potentially. So this thing can run through half of my team, so I really need to hope that my Klefki does not miss and does not get fully paralyzed. So I'm able to break the substitute again, which is really good. And while all this is happening, I'm slowly gaining back leftovers HP, which means if he wanted to keep it up, I could have probably put myself in range of where I could take another Thunderbolt and then try to play this game again and hopefully prevent him from getting up behind a substitute. As he knocks me out, I can now get a free switch into my Mega Aerodactyl, and I do have Pursuit on this Mega Aerodactyl. However, though, he is not at the range of HP where it will come anywhere near knocking him out, and even if he switches out, I'm not going to knock him out. So I'm just going to Mega Evolve here, make the save play by going for the Earthquake. His switch into Krookodile was very, very obvious, but either way, I can still get off this Earthquake damage, get off the Spikes damage, and scout out to see if he is an offensive or a bulky set, which Earthquake doesn't do that much. Even though I am at -1, it still should have done slightly more damage if he wasn't a defensive variant. Plus, it turns out that he's got leftovers. So I'm very positive he's either running a lot of HP and a lot of defense, or just a lot of HP. And very positive in the fact that he would go for Stealth Rocks. I hard switch directly into my Cobalion as he makes a very crazy double switch into Keldeo. And I was so close to going for the Aerial Ace with my Mega Aerodactyl, but now I have to play the guessing game and hope that if he is Specs, he doesn't go for Hydro Pump or Secret Sword to try and knock me out. But judging from that Scald damage, he was definitely Choice Scarf, so even if he went for Sacred Sword or Hydro Pump, he shouldn't have been able to knock me out. So either way, I'm going to be able to live any hit, and then in return, go for the all-out pummeling, which, after that one layer of spikes, I have a 56% chance to knock him out with this hit. So the roll was more or less in my favor, and I'm able to get rid of the Keldeo, which is amazing because that was probably his biggest aggressive offensive threat. And now I have to worry about this Raikou. So there is absolutely zero chance that I am going to allow this Raikou to substitute. So definitely my best play is to stay in here, constantly go for close combat until either he knocks me out with Thunderbolts or he tries to sub up to the point where he can't substitute again. So I am able to break his first substitute, which is really great. Now he's got to make the decision of, will I switch out or does he try and substitute again? And luckily he does try to substitute here, which means I will be able to break his sub with this next close combat. And then even after the leftovers recovery, he is nowhere near to the point where he's going to be able to take the chance or opportunity to go for another substitute, which means what I can do here in return is most likely just sack off my Primarina, because I still have some use for Cobalion later in this match, because I can outspeed the Chandelure, and I also outspeed and beat the Krookodile well, maybe 1v1 depending on how things go. But either way, I am just going to sack off my Primarina here because I know I don't have any more use for it, although it would have been nice to maybe get a Moonblast off on something else. It's just I was too low of HP in order to be able to do that, and while being able to take a hit, obviously, because everything he's got left outspeeds my Primarina. This does, however, allow me to bring in Aerodactyl and successfully Pursuit Trap this Raikou, which is really good because now I no longer have to worry about it, as he does end up bringing in his Krookodile here. He's going to take that little bit of chip damage from the one layer of spikes, as I will be able to comfortably stay in here and go for the Aerial Ace, because again, I thought that he would either go for the Stealth Rocks or expect me to bring in my Cobalion, as he does try to predict me to bring Cobalion by going for the Earthquake. I can now just stay in here again, go for another Aerial Ace, and at this point I'm pretty sure he doesn't have the Stone Edge, so I will be able to 3 KO him. After getting off the second Aerial Ace, I'm able to chew that knockoff. And luckily it didn't do entirely too much, because I should be in range of where I can live one Scarfed hit coming from Chandel. Actually, no. Believe it or not, Jolly Max Speed Aerodactyl is still faster than Scarf Chandelure, if I'm not mistaken. Although I don't outspeed Scarf Latios here, which I guess that could have been a possibility of him having. Plus, at full HP, I don't knock out Latios with any one hit, so I'm going to be forced to switch out anyways, as I do bring in my Cobalion just for Death Water. He's going to go for the Side Shock. Barely failed to knock me out, which I found to be a little bit funny, as he's going to be able to outspeed me in the following turn and finish me off. And at this point, what I can do is bring in my Scarf Gengar, even though Shadow Ball only has a very, very low chance to knock him out. I can still get off enough damage to the point where I can then bring in my Mega Aerodactyl and just Pursuit Trap him to knock him out. And then at that point, his last Pokemon is going to be Chandelure, which I should be able to beat accordingly with my Mega Aerodactyl and with my Crocodile. So he's going to be able to knock me out as I do bring in Aerodactyl here. I can easily Pursuit Trap him, finish him off, which is really nice because Latios could have potentially been a problem because I did lose my Klefki. However, though, I was able to keep it in check and keep up offensive pressure, and my one little spike was able to stay around for the entire matchup as back comes, now comes in the Chandelure, and I'm going to be able to knock him out with the Earthquake. Now, I do end up getting a crit here. That crit honestly wasn't game-changing. Unless he was Spexed and he had lived Earthquake that knocked me out, it only would have changed the score. But I still win 2-0, and that gives us a 2-0 lead against Harris in this best of 7 series. So all I have to do is win 2 more games, while Harris still has to potentially win 2 to even try to tie it up, or potentially win all 4 games. So we are up 2-0 against Harris, guys. Let me know if you think we're going to be able to pull off a clean sweep, or if you think it's going to go back and forth, or if you think Harris is going to make a comeback. So either way, I hope you guys did enjoy the battle. Make sure to hammer that like button down below and to answer the question of the day. And with that being said, guys, I will see you all tomorrow. So later, everybody. Cause
my brain and heart are both tied in the knot, and this hinders me from crying a lot. This causing me to show no emotion. But when I said I cared, I wasn't joking. But I guess it's too late for me to become broken. For now, I'm living with no more pain, tears, or hoping. I'm just coasting. Yeah, I said I'm coasting. No more pain, tears, and hoping. For real.